Hey, I just want to jump back on here for just a minute. And I get more questions about this wax that's on this mold than I do about anything I've ever done. So I'm going to go over this again. Maybe I'll go over it every day. It's called tacky wax, not because I call it that, but I believe you can probably order it from any of these online stained glass hobby stores. I've shown you this before, but there it is down in the bottom of that bucket. And I just heat the bucket up with a torch, get that stuff liquid. Then here's my brush. Of course, you see the brush is stuck down in there now because the wax has hardened, but the wax is sticky. And how it works, man, people are really into this wax. But how it works is, let me flip this around here. We'll go right here. All right. These molds are sold with the cartoon on the mold, or the design is superimposed or in little grooves, tiny grooves, superimposed onto the fiberglass mold. Now, right down here, you can see how soft this mold is because I don't have the wax down here. And there's a finish, a white finish that's put on here, makes it real smooth. Then they superimpose that cartoon or design onto the mold. That allows me to know where I'm putting these pieces, more or less. Okay, heat this wax up, and you get it liquid. And then you just paint that wax on this mold. Well, that's what's holding these pieces on here. Let me, let's see. Let me turn this thing around here. Okay, let's just take this piece right here. See that leaf piece? And that goes right there. So I just stick it on there and poke it. Now here you go. Wow, it's not coming off, see? All right, because it's stuck on there. Now, I need to foil that, obviously. So then I come back with my little dental instrument, and I just pop that thing right off there. In fact, I'll do it. There he goes. I'm lifting it up, see? Okay, and then I take it over to the foiler and foil it. Now, I'm not going to do that to this particular one or any of these because they've not been final fitted. So the way I do this, I didn't anticipate even showing any more videos till maybe tomorrow. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, but I keep getting all these questions about this wax. And the wax is transparent, see? So you can see the cartoon underneath the wax. And that wax is sticky. And it's not ridiculously sticky, but it's sticky enough to hold this glass. And whoever invented that wax is a genius. And man, this one wouldn't, well, without the wax, I'd have to set this thing up there and hold it on there till I could tack solder to hold this piece together. Well, the wax makes this, well, there's no part of this that's easy, but that makes it easier. So let me turn here. Man, that Joni Mitchell, rather, can sing. Let me just give her a pause there. I just love that song. Okay, I'll listen to that thing for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's very inspirational. Anyway, now these pieces of glass, while we're here, everything that's been foiled here has been fit to the best of my ability. I like the way it fits. I like the way that the space is between the pieces. Now, if you look up here, there's all this glass on the mold that has not been foiled. That means to me that it has not been fit, and I can see that. I can show you some problems there. Well, let's see, where's one? Yeah, see this piece of glass here, that's rare, but that one doesn't even fit down into that slot. I just stuck it there. Well, it might be because this edge of this piece is setting up a little too far right there. I would not touch that until I come over to the right. I'm going to explain this again. I think maybe there's some lamp people in here that are getting ready to build a lamp or whatever, starting on one. This looks pretty good right here, the space around there. And so what I would do, and I think I've already adjusted these, I need to come back and foil these here. This one here looks like it's ready to foil. And I remember now doing a little bit of grinding here and there. Now, there we go right there. That's not a good fit right there. So I would most likely, because this is so narrow, this piece right here, and that's sitting right down on top of that piece there. So that's not been fitted. And you can look all around there. It's setting on the mold, but it does not have a real good relationship with the other pieces around it. It's running into this one. Here's one here that's touching here and nearly touching there. So, of course, it would need to be moved over. If it gets moved over, then it makes that cavity a little large. So the way this works, and I explained it this morning, but I'm going to repeat myself a little bit here. Maybe I'm talking too fast. Or maybe this thing is actually complicated. I don't know, something. But anyway, I always go back from right to left. And I've stuck these pieces on here, and we'll say, why did you stop there? I stopped there because that's the far left-hand side of section 4. So see, there's section 5, there's section 4. So I wanted to just stop right there, and I'll move on up. But before I move any further up and just take those pieces and set them onto the mold, I'll come back over into this area and begin again from right to left, and I'll start fitting these pieces here. Maybe a little grinding, maybe not. Some of them won't need any grinding, some of them will. And I'm going to start fitting those in relationship to the work that's already been set the way I like it. Those pieces have been finished grinding, finished setting, because they've been foiled. So that's the signal to me that I don't need to mess with these anymore. I'm not going to do any more grinding on them. And what I do is I'll go right next to the pieces that have been foiled here, and we'll start trying to fit these. All right, and because I want to fit them to here, because this is not going to change. And then we just keep doing that back and forth till we get it the way we want it. Take, for instance, if we were trying to get ready to foil this piece right here. Like I said a little bit earlier here, it's touching there too close. So would I take a little glass off that spot, or would I take it off of here? So we'll take a look at that. There's an area right there that needs to be ground right here. You certainly would not want to grind on this piece because it's already so narrow. There's just going to be a little bit of glass show as the foil is placed on this piece. So if you're going to take it, you'd want to take it over here. I think this is just more, and here's a pretty good, now that doesn't look too bad right there. Get this phone where you can see it. There, I'm going to pull this a little bit. That's a pretty good area there. This looks pretty good. So we're in the ballpark here. We are here we are. I actually remember doing some work right here, and then I took off and decided I was going to come here to foil right here. And I thought, you know what? I really kind of want to push a little further forward this direction and get everything that's in section 4 on the lower section of 4 laid onto the form, because as tomorrow when I get the base is of no significance because we don't need the base until the lamp is finished. But the crown that goes on the top, I want to get that thing set so I can begin to build these pieces up to go into the crown. At that point, when I connect the crown and the upper part of this lamp, and I know those leaves are going to be difficult. So when I start working all that in, then I would have a section done, because I would be crown through the top of the glass down the form. And you can see this curvature. And so the branches all come across the top and then are bent or curved to conform to the shape of this mold. So there's a whole lot of finagling that's going to go on up into this upper part of this lamp. And so until I got the crown in, and I didn't know till maybe it was the day before yesterday that the crown was in, but I'm set up to go get it Saturday. I just thought, well, I don't care whether the crown gets here in a week or two. It doesn't make any difference. I'll just continue to work across here. I can't remember. I should have written down. I think I might have started. I said, don't turn your phone that way. There we go. I might have started this here maybe Monday-ish. I don't know. Maybe it was Tuesday, something like that. Anyway, this is actually going pretty good. It's slow work because every single one of these pieces has to be fit and foiled. Here's a piece right there. Now there's another one. I'm glad you're looking at this. All right, there's an area around there that's decent, but I'm a little too close right here. So we'll pull that, we would pull that out and grind that. The reason we would is because this foiled piece here has already been done, and I'm not going to mess with it. I don't want to tear that foil off or play with that, so we would fix that right there. Then this one looks pretty good, maybe a little bit of grinding touched right there. That doesn't look bad right there, pretty close. That's good. So there's some of this right in here. These are ready to foil. And so you're looking at the glass right there, right before I foil it. And most of the time when people look at a stained glass window or a stained glass lamp, they don't see this bare bones part of the work, because this is all these lines. Some people call this welding. I think maybe that's a better term than what I have used in the past. Anyway, we weld this together with solder, flux, paint the flux on there, and then I build solder beads like that. And we go all over, you know, boom, boom, boom. And there'll be a lot of work that goes into soldering this thing. So everybody will get a look at that. And I'm kind of fascinated by all the interest in this thing. I mean, I like it, but I'd be doing this whether anybody was paying any attention to it or not. But it's starting to back out of it a little bit. It's starting to look pretty cool. And I'm just happy with the way that it fits. When I put the pieces on, let's go over here and look at some stuff maybe that's not fitting so well. These have just been set onto the mold, so I have not come back and cleaned them up. Here we are right here. Too close there. Oh, what do we need to do about that? Here's a piece right here that's jutting out into the air. I don't particularly like that, simply because there's going to be a 14 or maybe a 12 gauge copper wire. Do I have a piece of copper wire? I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here you go. Okay. That's 14 gauge right there. Okay, and 12 gauge would be a little bit heavier. So what's got to happen is I've got to take this wire, and I've got to go all along the entire perimeter of this lamp, all the way around, and solder this wire. And so it's flexible, right? It's copper. Let me put this right here. It's flexible, right? Copper. So I need it to, you know, be soldered along this edge all around here. Well, I know that I've got to do that, so I'm kind of careful here as we move along the lamp to not get anything sticking out here so far. I'm going to have a real hassle getting the wire around it. Now, it's going to be, you know, enough difficulty already in putting the wire on there. Certainly not impossible, but a jutting out right there, that square edge right there, all I need to do is come back and just kind of ease that off a little bit. This one here is fitting a little too far up in there, so we'll play around with that. Here's another one right there. It's a little tight right there, so I've got to fix that. But you wouldn't just jump in here and do that here, simply because you're going to go, and I keep saying this, but you're going to go from right to left. So I'll make the adjustments on the work next to the work that's already been foiled. And that way you don't get into trouble. If I come out here and start adjusting the pieces out here and then go this way, I might run into the foiled work here. And then because I've adjusted a bunch of the glass here, I've caused more problems for myself down on this end. So it's just building it up as you go. Here we are right here. None of this looks good. That's got to be cleaned up there. This isn't bad up in here around there, but I've got to do something with that. Well, something with that might be as simple as, watch this. We're going to bring this piece, that blue piece, down. Okay, now we just fixed that, but at what expense? If I need now to come here and pull this one down, we'll pull that one down so I get a good space under here. And have we caused any problem on further down? And the answer to that would be no. So rather than take the grinder right up into that spot right there, which looked like it needed to be ground out, it wasn't anything more than moving this piece here down and then making that work. Now, what do we have here? Let's pull this one down. We're getting real close here. So it might be that I might need to reset this one down a little bit. And so there, with no grinder, now we've basically fit this piece and fit this piece pretty much. Not too much is necessary there. So that's how this works. You have to think about what you're doing and think a little bit ahead of yourself. And then make sure that you need the grinder rather than just go jump into it. Now here's another one right here that I hope you notice how ridiculously odd shape these pieces are, and I had to fabricate every single one of those. It's not like anybody was whipping me, making me do it. I love to do this stuff, but it just shows, I think getting down into the trenches with this lamp gives you an idea of all the effort that goes into making something that's a fine piece of artwork. There, look at that. Too close. All right, we're too close there. So if you alter this piece here to fit here, what about here? That might not work. So what you would do is kind of look at the whole big picture there. I'm moving that thing around. It's kind of jumped off the wax a little bit. There, push it down. But look at the big picture, what surrounds it. Then make the decisions about what to do with the piece of the separate piece of glass as you continue to move across the lamp. So I'm certainly making more videos than I anticipated here. There's probably about 4 people watching this, if there's that many. But what it's all about, and I don't care if anybody's watching, I really like what I'm doing. And there's not everybody and their brother that can knock one of these out. This is a commitment here to this lamp. And certainly I'm not the first person to build one. There's a lot of people that have built this particular lamp. But this one here is a long haul. And if you build this thing right and you put your best effort into it and you've got some skills that you've developed along the way, then you're going to make a gorgeous lamp that has a high degree of craftsmanship in it. And that's what I'm trying to do here, to the best of my absolute ability. Well, anyway, I wanted to talk about that, and look at that wax. You can see where the wax is, heck, it'd even hold this up. Look at that. So they call it tacky wax, sticky. There's a little of it, see, is gotten on my instrument. Boy, I'd be lost. This is just a plain little old pick, little kind of a dental instrument thing. And it just does such a beautiful job for me because I can go right down in there and pop that piece out. And I think what I'm going to do now when I get off the phone here, there was an area that I liked. But I could actually jump in here about anywhere and just dive back in here and start foiling. And in fact, I think I just foiled this piece before. I looked at my Facebook page, and of course I just go to the computer and get it. But I looked at my Facebook page and somebody's asking a question about this wax again. And so I thought, gee whiz, we're going to talk about this wax and ad nauseum until we get everybody to understand what this stuff is. It's transparent so I can see the cartoon through it. It's called tacky wax, and it's sticky, and it's how we put one of these molds together. Put the glass on the mold. Well, anyway, what else could I say? I think that I keep covering the same area, but I'm getting continually getting a lot of the same questions. Here's another spot. See that? Too close. And so now I put these in earlier and they didn't fit at all. And then I kept messing around with them. No, I didn't do any grinding and things started working out. But I will, as soon as I hang this phone up, I think I'm going to start right here or put this phone away rather. And I'm going to clean that little spot right there. And I'm just proud of the lamp, and I'm happy to have a client that I've done some work, quite a bit of work for this particular client, and they know where I'm coming from, and where I'm coming from is to do the best possible work that I can possibly do. And I've got quite a few years of experience, so I should be able to do some really good work. I'm real excited about this lamp because the colors on this thing are going to just be out of this world. When this lamp is lit up, it'll just, I'm sure, just take your breath away, because I put a lot of effort into getting these colors right. Now, of course, we can't tell anything about the colors here. And in fact, the bulb, there's 4 bulbs that are going to go into the base. And a person that owns a lamp like this can change those bulbs out to different wattages and different LED, whatever you want to put in there, and change the whole complexion of this lamp and the way it lights up. So that's a good thing. You can, make it do quite a few different things. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll watch this thing. If there's some more questions that we need to talk about, we'll come back and talk about them. I'm anticipating maybe tomorrow I'll set this crown. And then when I get that crown set, and I'm optimistic that that's going to work out for me pretty well, I get that crown set, then I'll show you how I'm going to work the branches into the crown, and then the branches. See, here's a set of branches right here. Just bring those branches down into the lamp and then integrate this glass underneath the edge of those branches. And I already know that that is no walk in the park. There's a real simple branch right there, and I had enough trouble with that. So I don't know. I don't look at this stuff as any kind of a trouble or something. When you make something like this, and I started out with just sheets of glass here. When you're doing something like this that's absolutely handmade, every single part of it's been touched by me. I know all these pieces intimately. When you do something to that extent, there are going to be, what do you call it? You can call them problems if you want to, or things that don't work out. But that's just part of this business. And I've been in this glass business a long time. And when you start on a window or a project, that's so normal. Things not working out, things don't fit right, something didn't work right, it didn't break right, it was too short, too long, wrong color. There's a million things that continue to challenge you as you go. That's such a part of doing this kind of work that you don't really get any heartburn over it. I don't feel bad about it. I don't get mad. I don't get angry. I can't remember the last time I was angry about anything that didn't go right, because there are just so many things that don't go right that it's just normal. So anyway, that's where we're at. I appreciate, again, all the interest in this thing. I'm interested in it. And to my knowledge, there's some really great lamp builders that are on Facebook. A lot of them pass through my Facebook page. So if you see somebody's name on there and they're talking about lamps or their work, go look at their work. There's some great, really good lamp artists that frequent my page, and then I, of course, frequent their page. But look at their work, and there's some of these people have been doing this stuff, 40, 50 years. My first lamp was 1982, and I swear I'm not positive about this. That's this. Oh, the pictures are awful, but that's this wisteria right here, and right there, the same lamp, and gee, I can't imagine that being my first lamp, but I think it might have been. But I remember when I dove off into that thing, and I got a bunch of money to do that back in 1982, and I thought, boy, I must be the smartest guy in the world to get what I got for that lamp. And then it had the same number of pieces that this thing's got. This is 1,945 pieces. And I've told this story before, and I'll tell it again, then I got to get out of here. I got to keep going. Man, I've been here since 8:30 this morning, and I feel like I've been here about 45 minutes. This is some fun. I've been going to bed at night, and I absolutely can't wait to get up and come back out here and dive into this. This is some real fun, particularly after you spent, 7.5 weeks cutting the glass. This is just... Oh, man, I wish everybody could have as much fun as I am. Anyway, that big lamp. So I got, like I said, 1,945 pieces. I remember I got 800 pieces into that lamp right there. And I really thought and the guy that commissioned it was a real good client of mine, and I had done a lot of work for him. And I was anticipating doing more work for him. And I thought, oh boy, and it was his mother's Christmas present. And I thought, oh, I can't bail off this, but I would like to give the deposit back and quit doing this. I just thought, man, you got to be nuts to jump into 2,000 pieces of this stuff. So anyway, I gutted it out and got on through it. And all these, and for years and years and years and years, I built, numerous lamps, but I always wanted to come back and build this lamp. Well, I got 74 years old, and I still didn't have a client for this lamp. And I thought, gee, I mean, if I'm not going to get that thing built here pretty soon, at this age, you never know what's going to happen to you. You have a stroke or a heart attack or something, you don't know what, or get hit by a bus, whatever it is. Anyway, you do know that there's a whole lot more behind you than there is in front of you. So I thought, geez, I just would love to build this lamp, and I wanted to build it real bad. Then I thought about, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just build it for myself, because I like these nice things. And then I thought, nah, time I, get the whipping that this thing's going to give me, I'm going to be even older, and then it won't be around long enough for me to really enjoy it. I don't think I want to put that much effort into something just for me. So I was hoping to find somebody that had, and in fact, all the lamps that I've sold over the last few years, I've sold them to somebody that had children, in most cases grown children, but children that I felt like that these things would be passed down, because this isn't really about money. This is about making a piece that's going to be around for 100 years. And so that's when I put this lamp back on my Facebook page, maybe November, December, and the client that owns this lamp, we have a good relationship. He's actually a friend of mine. And so he contacted me, and we decided to do this. And man, I'm really excited to do it, because this is, and I certainly don't want to sound like I'm bragging or I got some kind of ego over this, but this is an accomplishment to be able to do this. And I'm really excited, not because, like I say, anything to do with ego or anything like that, but just to have the chops to knock this thing out and to make it look good. So, oh man, that's such a wonderful feeling. And it's all a culmination, is that the right word? A culmination of all these years of working hard in this craft to try to learn to do it really well. And I still got a lot to learn. I'm still busy trying to make it better. That's what I'm doing with this. Every piece, I'm going to touch myself. I'm trying to make every piece in here fit as perfect as I can. Anyway, enough of that. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody's got this straight on this wax. If you're not, I'll come back and keep talking about this wax until we get everybody in the country that knows what this tacky wax, that's what we call it, tacky wax. And boy, I'm telling you, I can't imagine building this thing without it. It just makes it real nice. I'll come back, straighten all these pieces out, foil them, and keep going. Okay, everybody, thank you.